Hi guys, so wanted to do a video on grief and guilt, kind of how these interact with one another. We had some members who picked this topic, and I've definitely been with this one before, so I thought this would be a good one to do this week. There is a difference between guilt and shame. Sometimes we may not realize we don't know the difference between those two. For me, any guilt I had automatically turned into shame. And it took a long time for me to know the difference that there is something healthy about guilt. And then when it becomes unhealthy, it can really turn into shame. And this, of course, if it is connected with grief at all, can really put a cycle in place, this kind of loop that just keeps replaying to where you feel guilty, so it triggers the grief and the shame. And when you feel the shame and the grief, it triggers that feeling of guilt. And so it can be hard to get out of this loop if you don't see it for what it is and that it's there. So let's just look at guilt first. Like, what is healthy guilt? To me, I describe it as healthy guilt is the inspired action to make something right. I need to make something right. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to step up and say, hey, that's on me. For me, I'm going to explain why that's on me. And it's a healthy, inspired action. To me, shame is really the lowest, one of the lowest vibrations possible. It really turns into a place of I'm unworthy. I'm not worthy of healing. I'm not worthy of getting better. I'm a disgrace. It's not just an emotion the way that guilt can be, and guilt can pass through. Shame can get really stuck in our nervous system, in our sense of identity, to where we just feel like we let somebody down and now it means something really bad about us. Where we've maybe this, for me, this was definitely inner child stuff. Like, if I made a mistake, it couldn't just be that it was a mistake. It was the worst thing I had ever done was make the mistake. And how could I make a mistake, right? That's not human. That's not okay. And so it would create shame. I made a mistake. I don't just feel guilt. I feel shame. I should have been more than that. I should have been better than that. So that's kind of what I mean by knowing the difference. It's shame is attacking one's own sense of worth and identity. And, there's different things around this. Of course, we can feel disappointed with ourselves, and we can feel even embarrassed at times. I know that wasn't best of me, that wasn't right of me, that really wasn't serving of me or the other people involved, and that did not feel good. And I'm embarrassed. I know that I should have done something different, or I feel like I should have. That could be a healthy sense of dealing with this. And that comes back to that guilt of, okay, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to own it. I'm going to move forward and do things differently. So looking to in your body, where these emotions are being held in your body. On the front side of your body, it's in the consciousness. On the back side of the body, it is symbolic of being in the unconscious. Not all the time, but you can kind of look at the back is unconscious private, the back side of the body, and the front is more what is in the consciousness, what is seen, what is shown. And so being able to really look at when you are feeling guilt and grief and shame, where is that being held in your body? If it's on the left side of the body, it's looking towards the past, and it has to do with your receiving as well. So that would be an inclination or clue that it's something really of the past that's dealing with this, that's contributing to any body pain or sensations you're having, or just holding on to the emotion itself. And if it's on the right side, then it's more of in the future. It's in the now. It's very recent. Okay. And it's letting you know that, hey, this could get resolved if you're willing to take action. Not just feel the emotion and know that it's there and understand why it's there, but you're willing to take the action to do something about it, to move it out of the body, to clear it, to forgive yourselves. You have to look at, why am I feeling guilty? And do I look at my guilt as a life sentence? Like, does my guilt have to be a life sentence? Or can it be, you know what, that's not my best season. Here's what I learned from it. Here's what I saw. Here's what I noticed. And now I can make a different decision going forward and let it move through you. Sometimes guilt comes from not having closure. Maybe you're feeling guilty because somebody passed away and you didn't get the closure that you realize you need or feel that you need. And maybe you feel like there was things you said or did or didn't do, and it's really eating at you now because the person is gone. And one of the things I really want to encourage, regardless if this is about someone who's passed away or someone who's still alive, things that I just want to bring up is, one, if they're alive, it's never too late to have a conversation from your heart if you feel led to do so. And only if you have gotten to a place where the other person's response is so they're like all to them. It's their response, and it's not something that can steal your joy or peace or make you feel better. All inner validation has to come within, okay? So you can have conversations if you know that you're not actually attached to the outcome. It's not about whether the person receives you well or not. It's more about you just doing your part in things. Like, I feel called or aligned to go have this conversation, regardless of what it means to them. If they're like, I'm not over it, I don't forgive you, that's fine. But this is the inspired action within me to clear out my side of things. You can do that. You can go into meditation and just ask that this message coming deep from within you reaches them, and set the intention that, source will help, or the energy of your message will deliver itself to that person. It's totally up to them whether they receive it or not, but you've put it out there, whatever it is that you needed to say, whatever it is that you feel guilty for. That can be really helpful if the person has already passed. For someone who has dealt with spirits since I was a little kid, for better or worse, always felt worse than better for most of my life. I can say that, our loved ones go on. They simply go on. And everything is live. Energy moves. It may not be the same as physically holding somebody, okay? Their presence being, I know how powerful that is. When I was a kid, that's like all I wanted was my dad to come back, because I physically wanted to see him. I wanted to smell him. I wanted to hold him. I wanted to feel his body heat, to have that conversation of closure of, why did you do that? And leave. But I had to learn that it is still powerful to get your closure with somebody who's crossed over, who's left the physical realm. It may not be the same physical comfort, but just realizing that they can receive your message. You can send that message to them. Once again, just talking from your heart, praying to them. You don't have to go do nothing weird. You don't have to do nothing spiritually woohoo. I am not somebody who would ever recommend purposely trying to contact somebody in some form of using tools outside of you or seeking a medium on your behalf. You don't need that. You don't need that. I was always terrified of that stuff. Now I know why I was scared of it, because I was not meant to go towards that place those places in this lifetime, because I've done it apparently in others. I was always too scared of that. What I learned is that just by connecting to my heart space and pouring out messages to my Father was actually more than enough. I didn't have to rely on someone else's guidance. I didn't have to rely on whether they were actually connected to the right person on spiritual side or not. Because if you can't see who they're talking to, you have no way to decipher what's coming through. So they can say like, hey, yo, your dad's here. But do you know that? And if you are someone who does that stuff, I always encourage, know a personal question that not just any spirit can know. And ask the question and make sure you get the answer that is the correct answer. But anyways, you can just connect from your heart space. I used to write letters and shove it in a bottle because when I was a kid, my mom was watching one of those romance movies, like Messenger in the Bottles. I started doing that for my dad. And over time, what happened is I realized I had the closure I needed. There was nothing he could say or do to undo it. So I accepted that the reason why I couldn't feel close to my dad is because I was trying to hold on to him as someone who had died instead of holding on to him as someone who's alive. So I bring up this example. I hardly think about my father anymore. It's very, very rare because it no longer feels like there's a separation. It no longer feels like he's gone somewhere else. I just feel alive. So I really encourage you to get down to the bottom of why you might be feeling guilty, why you might be feeling shame, and what's going on with your grief. I know that grief is really painful. Grief is very out of our control. It always tends to feel like it's out of our control. And that's why it hurts so much, because as human beings, we tend to want to control things, right? And even if we had plenty of time to prepare for something, no one's ever prepared fully for something that occurs. It could be the grief of losing a relationship that was really important to you, the grief of losing a friendship, a connection, a job. It's not always just about death. It can be really about any change that occurs. And if you weren't really ready for that change, or you don't really like change, it can be hard. And even if that change is great, sometimes we grieve over the layers and sheddings of who we thought we were that we realize we're not. The parts of us we're leaving behind, in a sense. You're not really leaving yourself behind, but these layers of shedding. And a lot of times change and transformation does, I'm going to be honest, it removes certain people in your life and it brings new people in. And if you're like me, I just want to love everybody and I want everybody to move. And so I can be it's really difficult for me sometimes to be like, okay, you've just got to let go. You got to keep moving and trust the person's going to find their way through the maze, whatever you want to call it. They're going to be okay. But I want to hold everybody's hand. I feel like a mother. I just want to love and make sure everybody makes it somewhere. I'm the last one to enter and the last one to leave. And I don't fully understand that. But I'm getting better at honoring myself, my energy, my connections, and knowing it's not my place to carry people across anything. And when I say carry them across, I think I mean helping them get through their breakthroughs. I'm getting more comfortable with showing up and trusting people get through their breakthroughs on their own, because that's the design, is to do it on your own. So something that could help you too is, so nature is healing. There's healing in our plants. There are certain plants you can work with energetically and emotionally for grief, shame, or guilt. You can use hyssop, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a good cleansing one to cleanse the body. You can use rose, motherwort, mimosa. The motherwort one is for the nervous system. And you guys, this is not about praying to a plant. It's not about worshiping a plant. It's not about doing anything woo-woo or weird with it. Not saying that you can't do what you do, whatever that is. But it's more that like everything is alive and it's energy and it's charged. And just by connecting to the energy of the plant itself, building a relationship with that, understanding that you guys are in harmony with one another, when you allow your energy to harmonize with it, it's like a bridge. That harmonizing becomes like this bridge that allows the medicine of that plant to be absorbed in your body, literally and energetically. And it can really help with imbalances, with emotions, with grieving. You can, I'm actually going to start doing that for people, listening to, I'm not a doctor. I am a nature person. So listening to what symptoms people have physically, emotionally, mentally, and kind of putting together a cocktail of what plants are best for them right now, and giving that as either a homemade fragrance they can use, as an actual bundle that they can carry or put in their pillow, or literally going to offer making pillows with the plants that's needed in it, so that they can sleep with it. There's many ways to deliver the plants. I can do jewelry so that you can wear it, but I'm going to start doing that because I really believe in all natural healing to the best of your ability. This is kind of survival of the adaptable right now. Our truth is coming forward and saying, you know what, everywhere that you're not in alignment with me is going to come under the microscope. It's going to meet the fire of change and purification and cleansing and growth. So that means that a lot of us are moving away from corporate world because that's not aligned with our truth. We're getting asked to look at and heal all our shadows around money, abundance, following other people, because that's an area that truth is like, it's time to get you and everyone in alignment with what they're here to do, what they're good at, because this is part of the future of how things are going. A lot of us are being forced to relook at how we define relationships and connections, what it means to be an employer versus an employee. Like, there's so much stuff that's been coming up for over the past, year or two, that's really bringing about a lot of change that's actually serving of you and everyone, even if it doesn't always feel and look that way. So I really just encourage you to look at natural ways of also trying to deal with this. If you're experiencing pain, the physical body and physical pains and stuff like that is a manifestation from what began as a spiritual, emotional, and energetic imbalance. Any imbalance is unhealthy. It eventually becomes unhealthy. It causes a lot of problems. So being able to look at, where am I not in balance? And where are these emotions sitting, and what's really in my way of releasing them? It's okay to be happy and sad at the same time. Sometimes we don't stop grieving because we're scared of being happy again, or like we feel guilty. Like, how can I be happy right now and try and laugh when, it's only been 6 months or a year since somebody passed, or since this relationship ended, or since, somebody lost their job, or a friend went through this hard time. But you guys, sometimes laughter is the best medicine. I try not to be like inappropriate with it, but like, I laugh a lot, and sometimes it has been like the worst timing, but that's just how my spirit wanted to break up the heaviness. Was like, I didn't think about it, it just happened. I've laughed at a funeral without even meaning to, and it's just that it's my way of trying to break up the energy a little bit and put like some ripples of like, it's going to be okay. I promise it's going to be okay kind of vibe. And this was unconscious, of course, that I even did this. But, you can honor things of the past while welcoming the future at the same time. It doesn't have to be either or. A lot of times what happens is we keep one foot in the past, one foot in the future, and our body is like the bridge that keeps connecting everything from the past into our future. And sometimes things that come from the past is not just what is serving or what we want. It can be like all of it. So part of healing is not only to, do your work around the past, like get things cleared if that's what you're feeling called to do. Like let people, there are people who do this naturally. There are people who help people do this, but you can clear stuff, but don't get stuck there. Be able to turn, this is my thought anyway, be able to turn both feet towards the future and face the future and leave the past where it is. And what I mean by that is it's not that you don't have to understand the past. It's just not being the bridge that keeps letting them all come in together. I have learned that from being too attached to my past. I couldn't let go of the past, so I couldn't really step in my future. I was in the middle trying to hold on to two, convinced that this was important. And turns out it's not. It is important when it comes to understanding unconscious stuff, though, which is powerful. Okay, the unconscious plays a big role. But if you're already stuck, then sometimes at that point, we have to re-examine how we're doing things and be willing to change up our approach to stuff. I was very blessed because I ran across the Frequency Healing Group. Y'all are going to hear me talk about them like forever, for the rest of my life. Because I had hit a threshold that I didn't even know was there. I didn't even know that I was even behind a threshold. I thought I was doing good. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing pretty good. No, they helped me find a threshold that busted wide a lot of stuff for me. My journey's not done, but that's the power sometimes of being able to really stop and question what's going on in the unconscious and looking for other ways to approach things and other perspectives. So if what you're doing is not working, change it. If you've been trying to do the same thing for 6 months to 20 years, change it. That's a big clue that if it works, it shouldn't be drug out that long. So what's going on? Are you romanticizing it? Are you holding on to it? Are you scared to let it go? A lot of times what happens is eventually we come to this place of, I've merged this in with my sense of identity, whether I know it or don't know it. So if I let it go, then who am I? Who am I going to be without all of that? And that can be scary. That was me. Every excuse you can come up with of why I can't let go of certain things, I've been there, done that, felt it, held on to it. I've tried so hard to hold the past and future together as if I could bridge them into one healing something. And you can without carrying all the quote pain of it. So being able to look for the lessons, being able to forgive yourself, being able to forgive other people, being able to lose your attachment to your stories, to your sense of identity, to what it needs to mean, and just let it be what it is without making it mean anything. Just accepting it, honoring them. So the art of living intentionally. This is my favorite way to live life. The best thing that happened to me when I was 8 years old and my dad died is that he taught me through his death that life is short. It can feel so freaking long, but in the grand scheme of things, it is short. Your time with each person and animal is short. So make the most of it. Make the most of it to the extent of say what you mean and mean what you say, and pay attention to the message. Pay attention how you're showing up. What is it filled with? What are the emotions? Let people know you love them. Be honest about your boundaries, what you have, what you don't have to give, the time you need to yourself, give it to yourself, so that if you take care of yourself first and really try to harmonize and maintain that balance, then you have that with everything and everybody around you. And in this way, relationships and intimacy is built in such a deeper way that you're no longer dealing with the fear of them dying or leaving, or you dying or leaving, or the fear of grief or guilt, because you're living so intentionally, you're living on purpose in every aspect you can, especially with other people. It frees you from that. So if you're someone who has struggled with feeling fear around grief, around losing people, around guilt, shame, all that stuff, it can really be a call to action that start living more intentionally, and you won't have to feel that way. Be willing to have the difficult, honest conversations. Know that your spirit and their spirit's going to thank you for it. It may not feel that way at first, but you're getting to the bottom of things and you're clearing the air by doing that. Be willing to wrap up things, let things go if it's not going anywhere, if the people are harmful, if they're hurtful. Be willing to start questioning yourself. Why am I scared to change? Why is that? What's the worst thing I think is going to happen? Okay, then what? Okay, now what? Well, why? And if you keep doing that, you're going to keep coming down to some core reasons of your why, and examine those, and are those really true? Remember, you are not your mind. You are the you that observes the mind. You are the you that observes the thoughts. You are not your thoughts, but your thoughts do impact you. Yes. Taking care of our mind, our emotions, our soul, our spirituality, all of that's important, right? Everything has its place in the universe. So you can reach out for extra help to speed up the process, but just know that one of the first things about reaching out for help is to remember not to give your power away. This is not about being disempowered. It's about remembering that you are empowered always. So you can reach out for help. Just remember that the other person, including me, especially me, does not belong on a pedestal. No. The teacher is never on a pedestal. That's disempowering to the one who's learning, to the observer. First good thing about a teacher is to first give away that the student is capable of the same. They're capable of everything on their own. You're just a guide that has other guides above you, and it's like constant, and everybody's just evolving at their own pace, and it's beautiful. So just remember that when you look out for answer and guidance and help, do it in a way where this is you collaborating with somebody. This is you kind of feeling what their perspective of life is, but this is not you giving your power away. And I've had to learn that the hard way as well. I would always downplay myself instantly when I started working with somebody else who I felt like knew a lot or was like advanced. It was like, oh gosh, like like they're so advanced, I can't do anything. I'm frozen. I got to learn. I'm a student. And it's like, no, but of course you're a forever student. It's community, it's connection. So don't give your power away. Pay attention to what you're doing with your power. A lot of times people are not asking for your power. Like you're giving it away on your own. They don't want it. They're not asking for it. They don't know why you're doing it. So anytime you notice you're giving your power away, I have a whole Jaguar course at the Lighthouse Academy, all about the power that's taught in Jaguar medicine, which is owning your own power, stepping into authenticity, not using it. You don't have to use anything outside of you. It can help. Certain things can speed up processes, like plants. We talk about plants and medicine. We talk about natural things like that. But at the same time, it's just knowing that everything you need is inside of you. And that course is all about confronting fears, looking to where your power is going, how to call it back into you, how to operate in the most authentic way for yourself, and so if you pay attention to stuff like that, it will let you know what's going on an unconscious level, energetically, emotionally, and see what needs to be done, what needs to be resolved, and call your power back inside of you. One of the things I like to do is I take my 3 fingers, I stick this one right underneath my belly button and let them naturally just fall. And I call Leslie Danielle Phillips back into herself completely. I call Leslie Danielle Phillips back into herself completely. I call Leslie Danielle Phillips back into herself completely. Take a deep breath when I do that. I call my full name in 3 times, the name that I have here on this lifetime. And that allows me to get all my energy back in, so that when I do my meditation work, when I do my healing work, I'm operating with all of my energy and not where I've let it go or given it away. And the very first time I ever did that, I got so emotional because I didn't know it was a thing, and I had no idea how scattered I was. And that was about a year ago that somebody taught me that, and it was beautiful. And now I do that a lot. So I really just encourage you to look at what you're feeling guilt about and ask a really simple question. Is it something I can fix right now or no? And if you can't fix it because it's in the past, then you need to consider asking questions of, okay, what do I feel like I need for closure? And this can't be about what they can do for me. Can they give me closure? I can't have closure without them. No, this is with them aside. How do I find my own closure? Everything comes back to you finding a way, you getting the answer, you doing the healing, you accept, you let yourself do the change. We never put it on somebody else. Because when you do that, you give your power away, you put pressure on people. There's unspoken messages in that. And it can be daunting, and sometimes it's hard. It can be hard to realize that you are the one who has all this ability and power. A lot of us are scared of our own power. One of the number one things about addiction is that it's normally somebody who's very scared of their power. And a lot of times they have great power. And I've seen people with addiction. I've been someone who has battled with addiction. And some of the stuff they can do and come up with is so genius that it's like, this is definitely a power thing. And there's different reasons why people get on that path. There's different traumas and experiences. But at the end of the day, like, we're asked to step into our power and to understand what it is and to be responsible with it and to embrace it and know that it's there waiting for you to just cultivate and utilize and accept and be with it. And so we're going to start doing, I think, on Wednesday nights, live shadow work events in this group, so that anybody who wants to hop on and talk through stuff, sometimes with people being like here in the present with you, acting like a facilitator, I can't even say that word right, or a mirror, being able to just bounce back like what they feel like you're saying to help you come into your own awareness of what it is you are saying. Sometimes when we speak it out loud is when we start to hear the distortion. Like, whoa, in my head it made so much sense, but now that I spoke it out loud, that sounds stupid. Why would I think that? And like, that's the point of doing live shadow work, is to help bring to the surface what the real issue is by asking all these questions and bouncing it back. And it's a fun and gentle and loving and accepting space. So I hope that all of those who are interested in that will join us, because it's going to be available and free for you guys. And if you want unconscious work done quickly, energetically, like just move it, then I do recommend the Frequency Healing Group that you can look in the search engine on Facebook. It's also, their group is pinned in our announcements section. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you guys have a great, let's see, it's Monday, the beginning of a new week. All right.